Hey, it's good everyone. Look, Last Man here. For this week's video, I want to do another video on an advanced Zamboni pattern, referred to as the 3-2-1s. At least I refer to it as the 3-2-1s. And go ahead and comment below if you have a better name for it, or if there's a specific name to this, what I'm talking about. And there's a lot of different variations, but for this video right here, we're going to talk about the 3-2-1s. And when I'm talking about the 3-2-1s, what that refers to is the number of times you drive around the outside the rink. What I may also mean by advanced Zamboni pattern versus your basic Zamboni pattern, because I kind of adjust when I say advanced Zamboni training, but there is a difference between your basic patterns you do and the other Zamboni routines that you do to kind of help level the ice out and get the corners down, or at least maintain the sheet overall in general. So your basic Zamboni patterns that you drive in between each rental, in between the games or periods, you scrape the ice, you lay water. That's kind of your basic ice cuts that you do to help maintain the ice. And that's kind of, I'd say, probably like the most important ones you do, because it's the ones that happen right before the public gets on the ice. So, but there's also other ice maintenance routines that need to be done to help maintain the ice and keep it level and help manage the corners. And I call those advanced ones. When I refer to the advanced ones, I refer to them as the figure eights, cross cuts, some dry cuts that you do, and perhaps some flooding, just flooding only, not scrapes and floods, just flooding the ice only, just to kind of build the ice up, or hose floods, I guess. But as far as driving the machine, there's advanced ones and basic ones, and for right now I'm talking about another advanced one called the 3-2-1s. So again, 3 times, 2 times, 1 times, or 3-2-1s refers to number of times you drive around the outside of the rink. And there's a little more to that, so let me go ahead and talk about that before we kind of dive too deep into this. So 3 times, 2 times, 1 time. So before I do this type of ice maintenance, the 3-2-1s, I edge the rink first. I like to edge the rink, then chip the rink, chip the boards, get everything nice. And that kind of helps the blade kind of get in there and bite the ice a little bit better. It's just something I like to do. I don't always do these after I edge, but I always edge before I do 3-2-1s. And I always typically do 2 times, 2 times, 1 time, or 2 times, 1 time. But for this example, I want to talk about 3-2-1s because it kind of encompasses a lot of different things. After you edge and chip, you kind of come through here. And there's another thing that you have to realize too. This is something more for the corners, I say, not just like figure eights, but you're also kind of leveling out the corners over here, or the edge of the rink. So you just got to be careful not to overcut this areas right here, because in our rink, say this is the player benches right here, we have a problem area right here, a little area here, and one right here. So you just got to be careful coming through the middle of the ice right here, because the middle of the ice, I never really talked about it, this area right here kind of cuts much easier than the corners, and that's because it's flatter. When you get into the corners where it's bold, it's much easier, much harder to cut the ice. It takes a little more blade to do that. So, and that's kind of why kind of talking to something like this right now, the 3-2-1s, is going to help shave down the corners to help level the ice out, so it's much easier to cut. So again, so for example, you come through here and say you start 3 times around the outside the rink. You go 3 times around the outside, 1, 2, 3 right there. As you come this way, you only want to go a half a conditioner length out, and that's the key. Then you continue on to do 2 times around the outside of the rink. Do another one right there. As you come through again, you only do a half a conditioner length, and you continue around, do 1 time around the outside of the rink. So that's really the basics to it. You know, and a couple other things I would add to it is always going to start, basically, it's going to obviously go from the corner out this way. You're not going to come this way in this way. It's just better just to edge the rink and start from the corners and work your way out, as well as you go from the higher number to the lower number. You're not going to do 4, I don't know, say like 2 times, 4 times, 1 time. That's, you know, you always want to do higher number to the lower number, as well as you don't want to skip. You wouldn't want to do a 4 times, 2 times, 1 time. That, you know, you want to feather the ice in to the rest of the ice in. You don't want to overdo it and stuff. And I'd say 3 times, 2 times, 1 time is something that's a little more extreme. If your ice or your corners are really thick, that's something you do, say after a weekend or something. I kind of like to do this 2-3 times a week. So I'm typically doing maybe a 2 times, 2 times, 1 time, or 2 times, 1 time, 1 time. Because there's different variations of this. There's 3-2-1s. You got the 2 times, 2 times, 1 time. Then suppose you do 2 times, 1 time, 1 time, or 1 time, 1 time, 1 time. And I guess you could do two like this, triple twos. Depends how thicker, how bad your corners are and stuff. Again, more frequently you do this, you're not going to have to get into these extremes right here, because I think that's really the extremes. I really operate between these two right here are the best for me, at least at our rink, because there's times of the year or times when I didn't know any better where I kind of used the corners to manage the rest of the rink, because I knew if our corners got thin, the rest of the rink gets thin. It gets too much easy to cut, and people start overcutting this area right here where the player benches are and pulling paint and tape up and stuff. So I've had a lot of nightmares trying to figure things out, at least at our rink. So sometimes I kind of use the thickness of the corners to manage the rink, and that kind of sounds bad, but I've kind of learned now that you really got to keep your corners thin, because it really, the hockey players and the refs like it, and if they're able to see the hash marks, and especially the area inside the dot and stuff, so, and especially up in this area right here, it's just really nice. And again, it makes it a lot easier for your blade to cut. I'm not saying that you get longer life out of your blade, or the blade stays longer, sharper, longer. How am I going to say this? It just takes less effort in the corners. You don't have to turn the blade as hard or as much as deep. You work the blade in the corners if the corners are level. If they get kind of thick, you have to work that blade a little bit harder. Just kind of like, you don't get the same type of cut. So, and that's one thing as a new driver. If you come through here and through the middle, you really see that the machine starts pulling in tons of snow because you're going through level ice, and the blade's able to bite the ice much easier. And as you come through the corner, you're gonna have to work the blade harder and lay off the water. But if you keep your corners down, I've noticed that the blade's it just seems like it cuts much better, much easier if you keep your corners down. So for now, I'm going to show you a video of me doing it 2 times, 2 times, 1 time. Then we'll come back here, review some key details just to wrap everything up. All right, some key notes I want to go over here before we wrap it up. First, you want to edge the rink first. I just like edging it first, get that blade to bite a little bit better. Just kind of something I do. Again, I don't always do a 3-2-1 after I edge, but I always edge before I do a 3-2-1 or 2 times 1 time, whatever you want to call it. Another thing, you want to start from the outside and work your way in. You don't want to do this way to this way. I think I already covered that, but just kind of basics. As well as you want to do your higher numbers and work your way to lower numbers. You don't want to do, I guess, the 2-4-1 or something like that. You want to feather your passes together to level the rink out. As well as you want to do a half a conditioner length after your first pass. So after you do your first round of passes, half a conditioner length, your next round of passes, then another half a conditioner length. And that's pretty much about it. There's nothing more to it. This kind of helps manage your ice and manage your corners. All right, I don't know if I can add too much more to that. Go ahead and comment below if you've heard this before. If you guys have a certain term you guys refer this to as. I call them 3-2-1s or 2 times 1 time. I think 3-2-1s is kind of more descriptive. Again, go ahead and comment below if you've heard this before. Questions are always appreciated. That's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching. As always, hope you learned something. And like the local Iceman says, stay cool.